Welcome, students, to Monk Meditation, the show about monks in the world of Warcraft.
The long-awaited PvP Roundtable is here. I'm joined today by monks from all around the world, talking the state of PvP and what to expect come 6.0, coming up on Monk Meditation, episode 21.
Here's your host, Chai T.
Hello everybody, welcome to the PvP Roundtable. This is going to be a special episode. I've got a whole bunch of monks from all across the world here, so I'm going to introduce them one by one. First, I'm going to go to Tu Wong Fu. How you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
Doing great. Now, you're from Airy Peak, right?
That's right.
In the Converts Raid Guild. All right. So, you looking forward to this?
Oh, I am.
All right.
I'm nervous. My first podcast.
You'll do fine. Let's go to Exil next. Exil, how you doing, man?
I'm good, and you?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to this. How about you?
Interesting talking about monks for once compared to warriors, but yeah.
Well, it's all PvP all the time with you guys, so let's go next to Dark Lady. Welcome back to the show. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for having me back.
Not a problem. You were great last time, so we're looking forward to talking PvP this time with you. All right, and returning the one, the only, the Monk Father, Air. How you doing, man?
I am doing well. Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
Talk about killing each other today. It's exciting. I'm happy to be here. I'm here to learn because I don't know how to PvP. Yes.
Yet, but we have three masters here that will teach us. So
I got my notepad. I'm set to go.
All right. Well, let's just kick things off. Now, in the last few weeks, there's been a number of PvP changes that came out, not specifically about monks, but specifically about warlords and what's going to happen here. So let's go over those first of all. So, the wonderful stat called PvP power, gone. No longer there. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I quite like it.
Well,
no, I
first
like
was,
it. It's nice.
Yeah. First it was resilience, and then that kind of went away. Now we're doing away with the PvP power, so we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, so it seems like they're just keeping one basic set of gear now.
Yeah, the PvP power stats, it was originally to, if you have equal stats, if you do PvP, it makes you stronger, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Both in damage and healing?
It scales
Yeah,
all
it's
your damage and
damage and
healing
healing.
up by a percentage.
Okay.
But only in a PvP environment. If you're outside the shrine, for example, and you want to duel your buddy, you can have a full set of PvP gear on, and you will actually be worse off than your friend that's in a full set of PvE gear.
Mm-hmm.
So world PvP is not affected by PvP power in any way whatsoever.
It may as well not be there.
Okay. So it sounds like this is a pretty good change then, going into the ideas of world PvP coming in Warlords.
Yeah, well, I think their plan is to have it so that your gear actually, instead of having PvP power, now changes level with regards to what you're doing. So if somebody comes up and clouts you on the back of your head and you have your PvP gear on, you get put into combat, your PvP gear will automatically scale up and go, oh, hello, I'm PvP gear now. So just to make it a little bit sort of easier for you, and obviously rewarding the people that go and do the big PvP stuff with better gear, so you can't take them down so easy.
So, like, Aaron, Exile, what do you guys think about that?
I think it's going to be better. Right now, a lot of the complaints you see on the forums are from people that are fully PvP geared, and they're getting ganked by people in PvE gear, so...
It's quite soul destroying.
Yeah, you kind of feel bad about yourself.
Definitely going to help out a lot of people that engage in a lot of world PvP, just because I know a fair few people that love just like running around any and killing whoever happens to be flagged. So, especially in places like TB as well, when you'll see people will have full conquest gear and they'll get slaughtered by people in full like heroic warforged gear. It's not so fun for the people that have spent like 20 hours a week PvPing to get stomped on the people that spend like 8 hours a week raiding. So
You know,
Yeah,
not to sidetrack, but you know the Timeless Isle has that PvP kind of not quest, but this currency, the bloody coins, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And have you guys done much with the Ordos, Firewatcher, or anything like that?
I think I have 10 coins.
Okay.
I think I just went for 10 coins because I wanted the achievement points for that, and then
Okay.
I just stopped because I hate Time Missile.
Okay. Aaron, how about you?
I have not gotten close to that.
Okay. Dark Lady?
Yeah, it's really difficult on a server that's like pretty dead. I thought I'm gonna go, so I put on all my gear and I trundled off to the Timeless Isle and PvP flagged myself and sat there for 20 minutes and nobody even attacked me. So I was like, okay, I'm done now. That's
Okay.
enough for me.
This becomes to a point with the PvP power not working in that, because as a heroically geared raider, I have 300 coins, because it doesn't matter whoever I see, if they're under a certain health level, I use Raid Browser to get into different PvP realms and go killing everything with no
I need to go
PvP
and do
gear
that
at all.
actually. I need to do it on my hunter though. He can kill stuff quicker. I need some PvP like damage gear on my monk first because she's all
Yeah.
healing.
As a monk, I never attack a hunter unless they're brand new 90. Sorry.
Sorry.
So the PvP stat change is good. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to encourage people to, well, hopefully it will encourage people to do a bit more PvP and to battlegrounds and things a bit more, like, you know, with the item levels actually being higher than PvE gear.
Yeah.
Just makes it a bit more attractive, because at the moment PvP seems to be very unattractive to a lot of people, mostly because, you know, you get the guy who's like just dinged 90 and he goes, right, I'm going to go in a battleground. He goes into the battleground and then he's stunned,
Stomped.
he's silenced, he's stunned again, he's disorientated, and then he's dead. And he goes, oh, yeah, well, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. So I think that Blizz do really need to do some stuff to make it more attractive, and, you know, all the things that they're doing, like dropping the CC times and things like that, is going to make a lot of difference.
Blizzard seems to be doing a lot to try to get more people into PvP and to get rid of that discouraging factor, which does discourage a lot of people from PvP. That's one of the reasons I don't PvP, is I go in there and it's not fun, because walk in, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm stunned. All right. Okay, I'm finally out. I'm going to kick the... Okay, sapped. Okay. Wait. Oh, I'm dead. Cool. So
Yeah.
some of the things they're doing, you mentioned this before, but the item level scaling. So how this is going to work is that PvP items are in general going to be higher item level than most PvE gear.
Yeah.
PvP items are going to downscale in PvE content and activate to full item level when you activate PvP. So whether you enter a battleground or whether you just go smack that rogue upside the head, either way, it's going to kick your item level into turbo. And so this makes it so you can actually PvE in PvP gear and vice versa. Now, the one thing is that if you have PvE gear, it will upscale to a minimum eye level. So even if you're just a fresh 100, you come out with greens and blues and maybe the weird epic you got from questing, you're going to be able to actually do something in PvP, which is nice. So you have a way to get started, but for people like Air, who are going to be in mythic level gear, there's still going to
He
be
hopes.
right. There's still going
If
to
he
be
can find his
a
character.
place for him to go in PvP, because mythic gear is going to downscale slightly because they're close in item level to what PvP is going to be. But Blizzard still wants conquest gear to be more powerful in PvP.
Yeah.
So someone who is PvPing has an advantage over someone who isn't.
Yeah,
So-
I like that.
All right, let's talk a little about obtaining gear. So when you're obtaining gear, they've changed how it's done now. Because right now the model is you do PvP, you get honor points or conquest points, and you go and spend those and get gear. Or you get it crafted, and that's about all there is to it. But now, actually participating in PvP is actually going to get you gear. And this is another great change. So how many of you have been in Warsong Gulch and been down 2-0 and just said, just AFK, let them win?
I just farm kills at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. I can't remember the last time I was in a battleground because I just hate doing that. There's
It
faster
does
ways to get
become
on
a
there.
becomes a kill farming session at that point. It's just like, yeah, okay, this is chalk this one up to another loss.
Right.
And
But
just go
now
around and try to annoy as many
there's
people as you can.
actually going to be a reason to go and get that flag. So if you've got one flag, this is just an example they gave, but it's going to work similar to with other battlegrounds as well. If you have one flag, you're going to get a bronze lockbox, and that has a chance to drop, and pretty good chance from what they say, of dropping the starter gear, so starter introductory PvP set. Now, if you get silver, which is 2 captures, or gold, which is 3 captures, then that's going to have a chance to drop veteran gear. This is the gear that you would buy with honor. So you have a chance to get that plus honor points. And these boxes all can drop honor points, conquest points, gold, or gear, which is nice. Now, gladiator gear is the top tier stuff, and that's still going to be bought with conquest points. However, now, instead, because right now, when you're rating your rated battleground and your arena rating, that affects how much conquest you can get each week, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're
You
changing
start off
that.
with, I think you start off with 1800. If you complete an RBG, you can take it up to 2200. But if you want to get higher than that, you need to actually increase your personal rating. But you
Starts
can
at
get up to like
1500.
3k.
Yeah, once
Yeah,
you
you
hit
could-
1500 rating in basically anything, your maximum earned each week goes up.
Okay.
So, but it scales a lot faster in RPGs. Like you could be 1500 in RPGs and your cap would be like 2700. But if you're 1500 in twos, it'll only be maybe 1900 to 2k.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're changing the way that works now. They're going to be adding in a bonus roll system like they have now in PvE content. So by winning rated battlegrounds and getting good rating in arenas, you're going to unlock up to 3 bonus rolls each week, which you can then use at the end of a rated battleground to do a bonus roll for a chance at conquest gear, similar to today's Celestials. So this is a new way and faster way to get gear. So more gear equals more fun, I say. So what's everyone else's thoughts?
Does that mean when you roll gold, you got to duel someone for it? It's PvP gold.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah. Aaron, how about you? What's your thoughts on gearing up a little bit quicker?
I think it's great. I mean, just like you were just talking a minute ago, you said you jump into a battleground and it's late in the season now. I mean, late in the expansion, and you jump in and you're stunned and you can't hit anybody, and your damage is pretty low. So now you have an extra way to get some gear a little bit quicker. Now you can start hitting people and getting some kills and actually enjoying the BG.
I think gearing up at the moment takes quite a long time, so especially with like you sort of like halfway through season now too. So when you do go in a battleground, everybody's geared, everybody's already got their prideful weapons, and you are just going to get smashed to bits with no gear, unless you're a rogue, in which case you can just literally run around in stealth, sapping people and helping your team. But yeah, it is kind of difficult to get gear at the moment. It takes far too long because, I mean, if you win a BG, then you're looking at sort of like 300 to 400 honor. That's for a win, and that can take anything between sort of like 5 minutes if it's really ridiculously good to sort of 10, 15 minutes. I mean, obviously you can farm the dungeons to get the justice points, turn them into honor points. But yeah, I mean, it's a long, slow slog to get fully grievous, which is like last season stuff at the moment. And you need to be fully grievous at least to get into arenas, unless you have some very nice friends that would be quite happy to boost you.
yeah, it sounds like at the beginning of this current season, there are a lot of groups forming up for to do the dungeon runs to convert to honor, or just people just to go into the YOLO is always a big thing these days, with people going in to AFK to get the points to cap the 2200 so they can start planning out what they're going to get first, what they're not. So it does seem like a very long process. On my boosted 90, I noticed that my cap though is a lot higher than that 2200 original.
because my cap, for example, on my hunter, I've capped him every week. My total earned for this season is sort of like 15k. Whereas if I hadn't capped on him at all, I would be able to earn that much. Your cap is just per week, so you're still entitled to the same amount of honor that everybody else. Conquest that everybody else is for the entire season. So
That's kind of a nice catch-up mechanic then that Blizzard has put in.
Yeah, I mean that's what we did with my DK to get my DK her weapon. We literally sat in threes for a couple of hours to get her capped. It was like 6k left to get, sort of thing. But it is doable if you have some friends, but not everybody does. So I really like what they're doing. They're making it so that sort of like, Mr. Average Joe that doesn't really have a guild or anything can just go jump straight into PvP, and he can actually enjoy it rather than just jumping into PvP and getting smashed to bits.
Right. So Exil, what are your thoughts on this catch-up mechanic they're giving?
Definitely a lot better than it is now. Like, now I basically point blank refuse to do battlegrounds, because especially if you've got no PvP gear, unless you're still really good PvE geared, it's such a pain to get it done. I would rather just grind dungeons for maybe 4 or 5 hours and get all the honor and convert it. But it's definitely going to help a lot of people, because then people are going to want to do BGs, even if it's just, oh, I can get a lockbox which has a chance of helping me gear faster. So any incentive to help people gear faster is going to make them want to do that. I mean, even if they still keep the convert justice to honor mechanic in, they still might want to do BGs more, just because it's, oh, well, I could do this BG, I'm guaranteed like maybe one piece, but there's a chance that I could get another piece, and maybe a bit of conquest gear as well. So you're getting 3 pieces of gear out of one battleground. That's probably going to make a lot of people resort to doing BGs again, instead of just grinding dungeons.
Okay. Alright, Tu Wong Fu?
Yeah, just like he said, it's going to be a system that I think helps the BG system and gets more people interested in PvP, hopefully.
Yeah, I find it interesting that they are, what they're trying to do is make it so PvP rewards PvP. Whereas, like Exil said, right now he does PvE content to get the honor to convert. So this is saying, get in there, even if you're, in 100 greens, level 100 greens, they're going to boost you up so you actually can survive. Do PvP if that's what you want to do, and you'll just get better as gear drops and you get more and more going on. So I think that's a really good change. They're trying to make it a lot less painful to be in PvP, make it more fun, and also reward those who PvP.
Yeah, the 3 sets of gear is nice, so that you can have that like little starter set, so you don't, just going to give you a little bit more of a boost, like you say, rather than going in like I had a mage, boosted mage, and yeah, the gear that you get on that, if you take that in PvP, it's really, really painful. Like, people just look at you and you're like, dead. Great. So yeah, it'll be nice to have the sort of starter set, and I think it's a nice idea, and it just really should hopefully help people like actually get into doing PvP rather than just kind of leaving it alone because they don't want to be stunned, sapped,
right,
silenced, etc. for hours.
Okay, so I want to get into our first roundtable topic then. Mists of Pandaria retrospective from the monk perspective. So as we've gone from 5.0 to now, how has the monk been and progressed and gotten better in PvP?
Scaling. And probably more people wanting to play it. Because I know when the expansion started, a load of people went, yeah, let's make monks. And they got them to maybe 90 and then just kind of went, well, I still prefer playing my main. So a lot less people got into monks initially. Whereas now, I've seen videos of monks doing idiotic amounts of damage, and people are seeing that and going, oh wow, monks can do this, why haven't I been playing one? So monk representation is probably going up, but it's still a lot less than like a lot of other tried and tested classes in Arena and Battlegrounds. Like, I barely see any Windwalkers in RBGs, and you barely see them in Arenas, but they're pretty popular in 2s, just because they're a very good 1v2 class.
The thing is, when you do see them, you really know about it. especially if they're well geared and well played, because Windwalker monks just do a stupid amount of damage, and they have stupid amounts of survivability and stupid amounts of maneuverability. So it's just
Yeah.
like, what are you? I think 1v1, in all honesty, if you put two people of equal skill, and one of them was on a monk, the monk would win against any other class. I don't think there is a class that can actually properly give it a run for its money if those two people
Only-
were of equal skill.
Only thing I don't like about them is that they've only really got Touch of Karma as a defense. That's the only thing that stops them being picked over stuff like warriors and DKs in 3s at high level.
Yeah,
I mean, you do see them every now and again, but a warrior is like constantly 25% damage reduction that a monk doesn't have.
yeah,
That they can just go, oh yeah, I'm just gonna take 75% of all your damage instead of full damage. And that tankiness lets them pick. DKs have blood presence, lets them get picked a lot more. Sure, they might not be as tanky outside of that, and you can still blow them up, but you can blow them up just as quick as a monk, but they've still got that option. Monks,
Yeah.
it's a case of they've got their CC to survive, and they've got their self-healing, but once that's out of the way, they've got nothing.
yeah.
I think as
Oh,
far
yeah.
as Windwalkers go, as far as 1 versus 1, I think they're probably the top class in the game right now for 1 versus 1. For BGs, they're a blast because you can pick somebody out, you can have your fun, you can capture the flag, you can fly across the map, nobody can catch you. So 1 versus 1 in BGs, I would say they were great. As far as arenas, they're a little bit lacking right now.
For Mistweavers, they're the lowest picked healer. I can understand why, because they don't really bring many utilities in compared to, well, put it this way, they don't have a fear, so therefore they're no good. It's probably the best way to put
Or
it.
Cyclone.
You have no fear, therefore you are useless. But I mean, to be honest, I mean, at the sort of level that I play at, which is granted not very high, like I'm pretty unkillable for a healer. Like, I've got a couple of healers now. I've got my druid and my priest as well, and they can drop pretty quick. But like, I literally play Pac-Man on my monk. I drop spheres, I run through them, and they can crit for like 80k. Job done. Nothing's gonna kill me
And
with
they
that
don't
sort
put
of
you
thing.
in combat either.
Nope,
so you can
and they
be
cost
trying to get-
6k.
You can try to be get out of combat, you can still heal yourself to full and
Yep.
then sit down and drink.
Yeah, it's just stupid. I mean, the sort of like the maneuverability thing as well just means that, I mean, I've kited 2 fully geared warriors around for 5 minutes while the rest of my team kind of runs around behind them in a train trying to kill them as well, and it's just... But I've not actually had to use a cooldown for that, which is just stupid, because really you should be
I think
busting
that
out cooldowns.
Mistweaver's biggest strength comes in battlegrounds, especially capture the flag type battlegrounds like Warsong, because as an escort, no one's going to catch your target. Between Tiger's
Nope.
Lust and your hamster ball and all these things, it's like there's no way that anyone can catch the flag carrier when you're there with them. So I think that's
Nope.
one of the biggest strengths of the Mistweaver itself.
It's even
I would
worse in
love-
RPGs.
Yeah.
Go on, sir.
I would love to try Mistweaver in because I'm pretty bad at it for rating, so maybe it'd be good at it PvP. We don't know, but
Mhm.
I'd love to try it. I just don't have enough room in my bags to gear.
Right.
Yeah, I'm suffering with that. I have like 5 sets of gear on my monk now. It's getting a little bit ridiculous. I
Yeah.
keep throwing things away to try and make room for more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, but
as the patches have gone on, you said that they've scaled a lot better. Is there been any other big changes that have come around that have been huge for monks as we've gone patch to patch?
I think their mastery changes, especially Windwalker, because I mean they've had 3 different masteries over the course of Mist, and they've only just settled on one. So I think going through 4 different PvP seasons and having a different mastery every season probably threw a lot of people as well, because
Yeah.
you've got to relearn how to use your mastery every season.
Now, how was
bit of a pain.
Ring of Peace? Because that was a huge change, I think,
Oh.
in 5.2.
Yeah,
I don't
Started
go
on
near
Ring of
that.
Peace.
You
I
don't
still hate it.
like Ring of Peace?
I hate
don't
Ring
use
of
it.
Peace.
Oh wow.
In
I like
it for
RPGs, it
Mistweaver.
was annoying because you could Ring of Peace someone who was stood on top of the flag and you couldn't capture the flag just because Ring of Peace was there. It just wouldn't let you cap it. So then they changed it, and it was okay. It's a lot less used now than it was, but like everyone just picks leg sweep now because stuns and fears and cyclones and you win games.
Yeah.
I actually love Ring of Peace as a Mistweaver because if the proverbial does hit the fan and like the cooldowns are gone and your poor little warriors getting hammered on by many things and everything's gone bad, especially if they're melee, you can pop that and it's like, oh, everybody's disarmed, lovely jubbly, gives me some healing space, thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's a nice I like to use it for a sort of getaway clause if I get some people, especially rogues. I don't like rogues. I have a really big problem with rogues.
I think it's PvP.
So I like
Everybody
to
has a
use it.
problem with rogues.
Yeah, probably. But I do like to use it for rogues because then at least I can kind of run away while they're disarmed and they can't stun me and do horrible things to me, which they would do given the chance, probably.
So Daikatsu in the dojo asks, coming for PvE, what's the biggest hurdle outside of gear that a player will have to deal with when starting a PvP? And I also want to roll in our next topic as well of what are some tips for brand new monks getting into PvP? What do you want to tell them to? What's the biggest trick that you've learned over the seasons that you want to share out to the new ones?
Learn how to use macros and a lot of macros.
Many macros.
I think I have at least 12 on my monk, and that's just from target 123, target 123, target 123 for different spells. Like, I've got a Tiger's Lust for me, Arena 1, Arena 2. I've got Paralyze, Enemy, Arena 1, 2, 3. Detox, Arena 1, Arena 2, Arena 3. You just need so many macros just to play the class at its best. I don't know. I think that probably puts off a lot of people as well. I mean, you need macros for every class, but it feels like Monk you need a lot more of them.
Okay.
I think one of the biggest hurdles is you can know how to play your class, but one of the biggest things that I've had to learn is how all of the other classes work so that I know how to deal with them. And as a healer, I need to know what they're going to do to my arena partner or partners. If I'm in threes, I need to know what sort of things they're going to cast, what sort of CCs they have. Learning all that is what's taking me a long time. I'm getting there, but it's a huge learning curve. Because I mean, like I said, you can have your own class and you know how to deal with a boss or mobs or ads, but mobs or ads aren't gonna premeditatively, if that's a word, it is now, like try to CC you with the aim of killing you or your friends. So it's a whole different ball game when there's actually another person controlling what you're fighting because they're able to think for themselves rather than being AI. That's a big hurdle to get over. Not so much in battlegrounds, but when you hit arenas and there's just the 6 of you or the 4 of you, it's that's been one of my biggest hurdles. It's learning the other classes.
Tu Wong Fu, what do you think?
I think for Windwalkers, the biggest thing was learning how to hit people with different abilities. As far as PvE goes, you just jump in, you start jabbing. You're using your Rising Sun kick. With PvP, it's usually you have to jump in. You need to use your disable. You have a disarm that you can use. Just learning your different PvP abilities would be the biggest hurdle, I believe.
Okay. All right, and so what are some useful abilities that PvE monks may not use, but are really great in PvP?
I think disable's probably the biggest one. I never used disable. It wasn't even on my bars.
Yeah.
Wasn't even on my bars at all. And then somebody mentioned it to me when I was healing them, like, well, why didn't you slow him? I was like, but what? Slow? I have a slow? What is this? And it's like, yeah, you have disabled. It's a huge slow, and you can root people. Oh my god, really? So yeah, that was a huge one. Massive difference.
Disable's nice too. I mean, if you're on like Nazgrim and you need to slow an assassin or something like that, that's something I keep on my bars for raid usefulness as well, and I use it a lot in the PvE world, just for if someone's coming after me, just give them a quick slow. And but otherwise, if I'm in any kind of BG, anything like that, I am spamming that button as much as possible.
Yeah, I have it on quite a high priority on my Windwalker now, because it's too much fun to run around behind people and they try to run away from you and you're like, nope, no, come back.
Where do you
I think
think you're
paralysis.
going?
Paralysis and healing sphere are probably the next biggest two. Paralysis, to me, it's like the bread and butter of Windwalker, because you can use it to catch up to somebody if they, a mage blinks away. You can use it as an interrupt. I mean, it just has so much usefulness to it. The healing sphere, that's like, if you get in over your head, you can flying serve a kick away, start dropping your healing spheres, then turn around 10 seconds later and you're ready to go back in.
So what's your thoughts on healing spheres going away in 6.0? They're replacing it with Surging Mist. So what's your thoughts on how that's going to affect PvP?
It's
That's
good.
80% of my healing gone. Literally,
Well, you're
I
being
swear.
rebalanced around that.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it because I actually I feel kind of cheating on my monk a lot of the time, because I just literally drop orbs down for everybody and just kind of stand there doing nothing. But it works.
It's a very proactive way of healing, because you're thinking about what's about to happen, and in your free time, you just set down 3 orbs. I mean, that's really great for a raid environment. It's really great for a PvP environment, because if you have some downtime, you just pop them, set to go.
Well, here's the problem, though, is that that's how they intended it to be used, and if everyone used it that way, that'd be fine. But
people avoid them in PvE.
Right.
You'd swear they were made of fire. Honestly.
Well, Darkly, I think the biggest problem, though, is in PvP and how that's being used. I guess, like you said, play Pac-Man. You run ahead and you're just running and drop and healing yourself, and that's not how it was intended. It was intended to be a premeditated thing. So I think you guys are the problem. You guys are the reason it's gone. Thanks a lot.
I think
Hey,
big
I'm sad for my tank too. I like to use the healing orbs on my tank. I don't know what I'm going to do now. What am I going to do when I want to run away and kite something?
What'd you have?
I'm kind of going back about spells you don't use that you have to learn to use. I'm surprised nobody mentioned the monk disarm, because if you disarm someone that has a better weapon than you, it gives you a damage and healing increase.
Mm-hmm.
And barely anybody notices that.
Yeah.
So if you're just gearing in arenas and you come up against a team that's better than you, even if it's a caster, if you disarm them, you're still getting a damage boost. I think that's something that I think gets forgotten quite a lot of the time. They see a melee, it's like, oh, disarm the melee. If you've got a caster that's clearly better geared than you, disarm them. Yeah, they don't lose anything, but you're still gaining quite a lot.
Yeah.
I've grapple weapon macro to a mouse over and set to my Tiger's Eye Brew.
Yeah.
So it always pops whenever I have that up too, if it's available.
That's a good call. Another ability I know that it doesn't get too much PvE use, but has a lot of PvP utility, is Nimble Brew. It's not something that's cast very often in PvE.
Nimble Brew.
There's a
It's
brewmaster that
amazing.
might get used, but yeah, it's mainly PvP.
Yeah.
It's really good for fears. Gets you out of fears.
Undead
It's like an
monk
extra
can't be
trinket.
CC'd.
And doesn't it also
Yeah, they have 3.
doesn't it also reduce incoming ones that hit
Yeah,
you right afterwards by a certain percent too?
Breaks
Yeah.
stuns and fears. I think it breaks sleeps. I might be wrong with that. And then it reduces incoming effects by
60% for 6
I was going to say, I want to say 60%, but I might be off with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it reduces them
that's
as well.
huge.
So, especially if you get stunned and then you break out of that, and then someone stuns you again straight away, it DRs, so it's halved anyway, and then it's 60% less.
Mhm.
So you can go from having a 4-second stun to a 0.4 second stun. It's like,
It's nice.
oh, okay, that's quite a sizable chunk. So.
And you can glyph it too, so that it heals you when you use it as well.
I don't like that glyph.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's so many other glyphs
I
to
pick
use.
different stuff, but I
Yeah.
mean, each to their own. If
Okay.
if you're going up against stuff that's going to stun you quite a lot, like I guess if you're going up against some like double frost mage or something in 2s, it's probably pretty useful. But
Or if
I
you're
wouldn't
going
use
against
it.
double warlocks. That'd be a good one to use. No more fear, thank you.
Okay.
All right, next topic up on the block comes from the dojo. Acid Sweet asks, Tiger Crane, what Air?
I have. What about spinning fire blossom?
Oh,
Very useful. You should be
Yeah.
using that in PvE if you're at range.
Well, yes, that too. But
ideally
let
you
me
shouldn't
talk
be at
about
range
that.
though on PvP.
That has that rooting ability too, or if you glyph it, it automatically tracks whatever you're shooting too, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, that's a
something
good
that
one.
if
Not
you
used
glyph
very
it
often.
to track and you fire it at a mage and then they blink before it hits them, does it still follow them or does it miss?
I have no idea.
Because I've never
not
seen
sure.
it glyphed, so I don't know what it does. I
I
know
really
it
want to
just
try
makes
that
it,
though.
I know it guarantees a hit, but it doesn't root them.
I see
But I've never actually
many
seen
monks in
anyone
the
with it.
future now switching glyphs to figure out if that works. Hey,
See, I
mage
use
buddy,
a glyph
come
in
test something
PvE.
out for me.
Be right back, BG. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to try that.
All right, so yeah, Acid Sweet in the dojo, Tiger Crane. She asks, Windwalker question. So, why do you think Windwalkers are so good in 1v1 in battlegrounds, but see so little presence in structured competitive play like arenas or rated battlegrounds?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, every other melee either does the same job better or does less of a job, but is a lot tankier. I mean, if I'm doing arena and I see a Windwalker monk, it's a case of okay, get him to pop Touch of Karma, then don't damage him. As soon as it drops, blow him up, because he has no defensives outside of that. I mean, worst case scenario, there's a glyph. I think it's the glyph for sparring. That if they've got for every stack of sparring, they get like 5% spell reflect from the front or something like that.
Yep.
Worst case scenario, you're partnering with the caster and they get stuff reflected. But at the same time, outside of that, they have nothing besides just getting out of CC and running away and healing. So if you lock them down and they don't have Touch of Karma, they die. If you lock a warrior down, they've probably got defensive stance on anyway, or they trinket and shield wall, so that's still like 65% damage reduction with just one cooldown and a passive. So
Yeah.
I think it is just they're very squishy. So if you lock them down, they've got nothing.
Yeah, I think you
Getting
nailed it.
locked down is the problem, though.
Yeah, they're hard to lock down because they've got so much of I'm just going to get out of this CC and that CC, but as soon as they burn all of that, you stun them and
Yeah.
then they die. So
Yeah, you have to
I've
be very
noticed-
quick, I think.
In in the times when I have done threes, usually the monk is the one that opponents are targeting last.
depends if
Usually,
it's a healer.
oh yeah. If it's just for a
If it's a
Windwalker. per
Mist
se.
Weaver, I'm not touching it.
Okay.
Yeah, I never get gone on. It's great.
It's
Like-
because of that passive. I hate that passive, especially as a warrior player. I hate that passive. Probably.
I get
Actually, yeah, thinking because it does kind of answer the question. You do see them a lot in RBGs. The amount of times I've gone up against a team and they've had a Mistweaver, and I've just gone, you know what, I can't do anything to them, because if I have to hit them, I have to stun them, and then I can't hit them for like a solid 2 seconds, and neither can anyone else. So it's a detriment for me to do anything to them in a team fight, which means then there's one less DPS hitting them. Like, I've had, I think it was Warsong Gulch usually, where if we've got a Mistweaver on our team, we just say, oh, can you flag carry? Because they've got almost as much speed as a Feral Druid doing it, and they can soft bubble for like 450k, so they don't die either. So if you're bringing like 3 healers, and then you have a Mistweaver on top to flag carry, it's free captures, provided you can beat them in a team fight. Just because they don't die when they're capping the flag.
So, Tu
No,
Wong
for the-
Fu,
for the-
did you have anything to add on the why Windwalkers are not used in arenas?
No, I mean, just like he said, I mean, they're just a little bit too squishy. And, I mean, 1 versus 1, I mean, you have all of your cooldowns. There's not any class, I don't think, except for maybe a hunter, that could take out a monk 1v1. Yeah, I see you shaking your head over there.
Don't like hunters.
Why?
I mean,
evil things.
There's a couple of different ways that have been said to take out a hunter, but I don't think there's no definitive way to do it. But as far as like arenas and RBGs, they're just a little bit too squishy. Like he said, you get them to pop. You pop your touch of karma, your stuns. After that, you're pretty much done. You only have so much self-healing that you can do, and then you're going to go down.
Okay.
We talked about, the need for macros, the need for all these different abilities and how to use them. One of the things that I used to see on the forums when people were talking about why you never see really highly rated windwalkers, it's kind of a rare thing, is it because of this, it's kind of easy to get into, but the skill cap is higher than some other classes? What do you guys think about that?
I'd say that's probably pretty accurate. I mean, you can jump into 2v2 and still do pretty well, just because like the basic tools of the class are really good. But if you want to really, really push for rating, you do need macros for basically anything that can help out your team and anything that can disable their team in any way. And considering the amount of like instant CC and like CC removal that monks have, like if Tiger's Lust only affected the monk, that's 3 less macros that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Just off the bat. Like, Detox, okay, fair enough. I mean, mages can have 3 macros for that. But for anything the monk can do that's a single target ability, there's probably a macro for it. Apart from Zen Med, I actually use a macro for Zen meditation as well. So...
What does it do?
It just cancels spinning crane kick. So if I'm using spinning crane kick, it will cancel it and automatically Zen Med instead of having to wait.
And the primary use for something like that? A situation example.
Grounding something. I mean, even if it's... I'm trying to think. I can't remember if it grounds polymorph, but even if you've got like a big burst incoming and you just Zen meditation it and 90% less damage. Even if it's just all trinkets popped and it's 1 ice lance, you're still going to take 90% less damage from it.
Yeah, I think that... Yeah, Zen meditation has a lot more usage in PvP than it does in PvE because you can tell what's coming up and it's a lot more predictable in what it's going to absorb. In PvE, where like I have no clue if that ability that Lei Shen is doing is going to get grounded by this or not until you actually try it. But in PvP, pretty much everything is going to get grounded. So you see that mage casting Pyroblast, and you see the trinkets on him. That's a huge deal to soak that.
Huh. That's
It's really nice
very
against
cool.
mages.
Think
Really
that-
nice against mages and warlocks.
I think that the damage reduction on it goes a long way as well. Like, I mean, I play Brewmaster in PvE, so I kind of try to find ways that I can kind of cheese the game a bit and use that as a defensive cooldown. So even stuff like Malkarok,
Yeah.
you can just sit tanking that in the phase 2 of the fight, and you can just sit there with Zen meditation up and take no damage. Because it doesn't actually hit you, it's just an AoE. So you can just soak damage
Yep.
and damage and damage. So
Get some extra
and then you
vengeance.
apply that to PvP, where it applies a grounding effect as well. Like you can have your partner just about to get exploded, and it's like, oh no, all the damage gets redirected to you. Your partner doesn't die, gets healed to full. You've still taken no damage anyway.
So
I-
It does immobilize you.
Unless
But-
you glyph it. But I think the biggest problem is a smart team is going to just have someone poke you. And once you're
Yeah.
poked, the bubble bursts. So, but if you're going up
It
against 2
needs a downside,
spellcasters, yeah, if you're going against 2 spellcasters, man, that's the way to go.
It's really useful.
Yeah.
You can just sit there in it, and it's not a problem. With
Yeah.
my warrior friend and I have won a couple of games off the back of that, where they've gone ham, popped all of their things. You see all the cooldowns going, the shaman, the berserker buffs, and all the things are happening, and you just go, oh my god, oh, no problem. Ding, Zen Med.
Yeah. But if you
Feel
got
free.
a rogue or warrior on
Enjoy.
you, GG,
Yeah,
you're
it's
dead.
not so good.
Yeah.
Huh. That I'm gonna start using Zen meditation when I PvP now.
It's really useful.
So
Even if you pop it and it gets broken instantly by something, provided it's not a melee hit, it's still useful. And even
It's
if it
a
was a melee
GCD.
hit, it's still 90% damage reduction. So if you were going to get crit by like slam or something like that, you've still taken that 100k damage down to 10k damage. So you
Yeah.
didn't soak anything,
That's right.
but you've still stopped a ton of damage.
Yeah,
Okay. So one
the best tip right there.
one common problem that a lot of people say in PvP is the chain CC, especially in arenas and especially in certain battleground situations. You get in there and all you're getting done is CC. Now everyone knows about the trinket. PvP trinkets can get rid of that. So we already talked a little bit about Nimble Brew. That one's fantastic and not only gets you out of most CCs, but will reduce incoming CC durations by 60%. What other tips do you guys have to get out of that situation?
Transcendence is your best friend ever in the whole world, because you can teleport through walls, you can teleport wherever you like as long as you're in range. Whenever I go up against monks on my hunter, it really, really irritates me when I'm just about to get a killing blow on them and poof, they're gone. And it's like, oh, really,
Didn't
come
know
on,
you can
kill
go
shot
through
just
walls
came
with
up.
it?
Yes.
There's no line of sight issues?
Nope.
Holy crap. I guess we never know that in PvE because everything has line of sight in that.
Just pretend it's a warlock's demonic portal, except when you teleport, your teleport goes to where you were.
Right.
So that it's a gift and a curse, because you can teleport out and then heal yourself up and then run into the middle of everything. You get swapped to again, you go to teleport and you teleport about 3 feet to your left.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
you have to
okay.
remember to replace it. It's one of those things, and learning where to put it in each different arena setup is nice as well, because there's a couple of different places you can put it to make it sort of convenient for yourself. There's this, as I've discovered, there's a kind of starting place. So you're like, right, at the beginning of the arena, I want it here. And then later on, you might want to try and peel them to another place. So you want to put it somewhere else, depending on sort of how long your game is going to go on for, depending on your comp setup and things like that. But just for an example, the Tiger's Peak arena with a shadow pan kind of theme to it, I like to literally run straight in and put it straight behind the first pillar, because then you can just run into the middle and do whatever you want, because as soon as you get in trouble, you just pop that. And they're actually taking away the cast time on it.
I was
Yeah,
just going to
that's
mention
right.
that's going to
Make
be...
it so much better.
You're right about to die, and you're just like, one button, poof, gone.
And that's
Gonna be real
even
nice.
more of a help to PvE as well. Because
Yeah.
again, it comes back to stuff like Malkorok. If you get punched up in the air, you can't teleport back down to avoid fall damage. Whereas in
Yeah.
Warlords, you could.
Yeah.
So it's not directly, oh, this helps PvE, it's just it's helping monks in general.
Although that cast time on the belts on the Siege Crafter, it can get pretty hairy if you're close enough to those laser beams too. So that's fantastic.
Yep. So, Aaron, you're getting chain stunned by a rogue. What do you do?
Right.
Usually, with a rogue, I let him finish the opener, which I think is kidney shot. I let that one pass, and then I wait for the rogue's big stun, and I cannot remember the name of it. The one
Cheap
that,
shot open, then kidney.
cheap shot. I let the cheap shot pass, and then kidney shot is the one I will trinket, and then depending on the situation, I might disarm the rogue, roll away, pop a healing spear, jump back in, and then maybe start off with a leg sweep and go from there and keep him on his toes and see what happens. He'll probably vanish by that time, but it just depends.
Dirty rogues. God.
Exactly.
Dirty scumbag rogues.
Scumbag
I believe
rogues.
is the official term.
Yes.
He'll have probably wasted all his cooldowns in that time. I mean, the best thing to do with any class that's got a big burst, a big opening burst like that, is to let them pop everything and then CC them and then run off laughing as they sit there crying because all their big cooldowns are running and they can't do anything about it. It's like usually one of the best things to do.
Okay. All right, so in 6.0, we've got other changes coming in. We mentioned that Transcendence is going to be instant cast. Disarm is going away. I think we're keeping Disable, thankfully.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Disarm, I believe, is still staying for Windwalkers.
I don't think it
No,
is.
all
disarm
is
disarms
gone.
are going
All
through
disarm.
every.
Yeah, they
It's
took it for all of
disabled.
them.
It's staying for Windwalkers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like that because I main warrior, and having improved hamstring taken from warriors and given to monks was really, really annoying. So
Yeah, and the Fist of Fury changes are going to be fantastic in PvP. You can move now and still do it.
but you don't stun them,
Yeah.
and the stun is really good.
Well, yeah. But they're also making it better in PvP where it's only the one stun, so they trinket out of that and you're sitting
Yeah.
there smacking
So,
for
like-
nothing.
Recurring effects, so stuff like Fist of Fury, Solar Beam, any kind of, if you're stood here, you're going to get CC'd. If you trinket it once, you don't have to then trinket again. Like, the amount of times I've instinctively seen that I'm stunned, I trinket, I jump, and it's like, oh, but it's Fist of Fury, so it just clips you as you jump out of it, and you get stunned for another, 2 seconds. It's like, well, great. Wasted
Yeah.
trinket.
So that's going to be gone. So it's a benefit and a curse. So you're not going to get hit by those chain CCs, but you're going to lose one of your own. So, what are you guys' thoughts on the other changes that are coming in for 6.0?
I'm looking forward to Crane Stance in PvP.
Oh yes.
That's going to be fun.
Hello, Rising Sun Kick.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, as a Mistweaver monk, like once I kind of found my feet a little bit in arenas and things, because at first I would just literally hide behind a pillar and sort of cry quietly to myself while my DPS got killed. But when you kind of find your feet a bit, you suddenly remember, like, oh, I can hit people too. Wait, just a minute, and you can really do some nasty damage, especially to clothies, mages. Love mages. They're so fun because you can pound on them all day. And Zuin as well. Oh my, he does such a stupid amount of damage. It's crazy.
don't
So
like
yeah,
Zuin.
having the actual proper like punchy stance is going to be interesting. I think there may be I think I may have to increase my own skills to get used to switching between the two and that sort of thing, but hopefully if it'll sort of follow suit for what's happened previously, it'll actually make me better at PvE, because the more PvP I do, the better I get at PvE. I find myself being a lot quicker and things like that, so I'm hoping that'll help.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a common misconception when people say, oh, it's a PvPer, they can't PvE. It's like, I know a fair few PvPers that you put them in a raid environment, and just because they're so used to everything being unscripted and having to do stuff on the fly and being very aware of what's going on, you put them in a raid environment, and just being good at PvP has helped them. So even if you're not a PvPer, getting into PvP is still good because it'll teach you things about your class that you might not necessarily have known
Definitely.
before.
Oh, totally.
Definitely. I would still be running around with no disable on my bars. Literally. I didn't even know it existed. I think I took it off somewhere.
Come 6.0, you
along
won't
the
have it
line.
on your bars anyways as Mistweaver, so
I know, it'd be nice and clean.
yeah.
Yeah. The pruning is going to be nice. I think the ability pruning is going to be nice because one thing I have 12, 20, I have nearly 60 binds that I can think of now. And it's just like, then there's another bar over there. So that's going to make it up to nearly 80. It's ridiculous. It's so stupid. I really shouldn't need to press that many buttons. But I do.
All right, so for last question of the evening, unless we get any from the dojo, I'm going to go to each of you in turn. I want you to sell to PvEers why they should PvP as a monk. Air, let's go to you first.
It's fun. Maybe, I have a lot of fun in the big groups of people because you can do a lot of really silly things. I love being an engineer and taking Ring of Peace because there's something fun about going to Isle of Conquest. You got a big group of 30 horde all sitting there in the center just wailing on whatever. You pop your Ring of Peace, you pop your rocket boots, just run through the group for a little while and it's just fun. You feel good inside when you see all these disarms coming up and you see all these people stop casting and everyone spreads, it's like someone dropped a bomb on the center. It's just fun to do. You know, it's if you're in a 1v1 situation, it's kind of fun. If you're, you know, you have a lot of abilities that you can use. You get to roll around everywhere. You get to do stuff. You get to monk about, and monking is fun.
Monking is fun.
And play more monks, and yeah, be a
Yes.
monk in PvP. It'll be fun.
All right, Tu Wong Fu.
Oh, and the transmog gear is the best.
Oh yes,
So-
transmog is
Yes.
awesome.
So you want the monk transmog PvP set for transmog, so do PvP just for the dragon shoulders. They are brilliant.
All right,
Okay.
Tu Wong Fu, sell us. Why should we PvP?
Well, like he said, the transmog gear is excellent. If you do enjoy large groups of people, if you like ganking people, if ganking is your thing, Windwalker Monk would definitely be a very good character to play for ganking. If you like capturing the flag, just overall, if you like just having fun with a class in a large group, I would highly recommend starting a Windwalker Monk.
Okay, Exil.
Because you can one-shot anyone a lot more efficiently than any other class. No, I think it's just fun. Like, I've always been a fan of, like, Kung Fu, Street Fighter-y stuff. So when Blizzard say, oh yeah, we're going to make a class and it's going to be pretty Street Fighter-y, it's like, okay, so I'm just going to be mashing buttons and blowing stuff up. That sounds fun to me. I'm quite happy to run into a BG and Rising Sun kick someone for 150k and then Fist of Fury for the rest of their health. I'm down with that.
That's fun.
After playing a warrior and having to macro all my cooldowns, having one button that basically does the same thing, and it's called Tiger Eye Brew. Yeah. It's just, okay. Stack cooldown, press cooldown. All my abilities now do at least 100k damage, what's not to like?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you like blowing people up, and you don't mind being squishy, play Monk in PvP.
Okay. All right, Dark Lady, sell us on the Mistweaver or Windwalker, whichever.
Well, I've done much more mistweaving than windwalkering in PvP. I would sell it on the fact that if you go and do a lot of PvP on your Mistweaver Monk, you will learn a lot of things about it that you never even knew existed. You'll learn different ways of healing people in kind of clutch situations, which will help you out a lot in PvE if that's your thing. Obviously I'm part of a heroic raid team, so being able to make those clutch moves is really, really helpful, and I've found that I've got myself a lot more skilled in the other, in the PvE department through doing PvP. To back up what the other guys said as well, it's so much fun. Especially as a Mistweaver Monk, because you never have the problem of running out of mana. You have Mana Tea. And if you have your 4-set bonus, you can drink your Mana Tea in peace, because if you pop Thunder Focus Tea, nobody can interrupt you. And if you're still worried about it, you can just Transcendence behind a pillar and drink your tea in peace anyway, so it's fine. It's great, because especially if you've got one of those horrible long games and you look at the other healer and you go, oh, their room, let me just... okay, I'm full again, let's go. And, it's really satisfying. And, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming to this PvP Roundtable. It's been a long time in the making, but I think it is time to put the brew away, finally. So I want to urge everyone to please rate us on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube, or on Twitch.tv. Your vote of support helps out the show. If you want to help support the show, click the Support Our Show button at monkmeditation.com or at twitch.tv/wowmonk. As part of the Monk community, if you have a blog, website, or person that you want to see on the show, reach out to us via email at show@monkmeditation.com. The Monk community is the best one in the world of Warcraft, and we want to showcase it. So I'm going to give time to everybody here to tell us how we can follow you, what projects you're working on, things like that. So you can start out by following the show on Twitter at monk_meditation. You can follow me, Chai T, at wowmonk. You can follow Air at airmonk. Anything you want to shout out or pump up or whatever you want to do.
I'm just gonna give a quick shout out to Quillen. He's I think I mentioned him last time. We've been able to run together. He's actually on a challenge mode group with him now, so I'm working on my gold challenge mode set, which is pretty exciting. So yeah, that's good stuff. Also, I have a new team, raid team, working as intended.
Nice.
And we might still be looking for range DPS. I'm not entirely sure, but we're getting good to go. Everyone except me is playing an alt, and 13 of 14 in our first week, and now we're gonna hopefully do it again and get in the heroics and get that, get back up to Mr. Gary by 6.0. So shout out to those guys and just sticking with this, and yeah.
Best of luck to you. I'm glad we got you back up and raiding. That's the best thing. All right. Well, and I want to thank all of our wonderful guests for joining us this week. Tu Wong Fu, where can the dojo find you?
You can find me on Twitter at arob911. It's AROBB911. Or you can find me in game. All you can do is shoot me a message.
Okay. And Pandemonium is not with us, so we're going to go to Exil.
Twitter on @cm_exil, or send me a message, j@pvplive.com.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about PvP Live?
We do all sorts of stuff, just esports in general. So we've recently run a Hearthstone tournament that was pretty cool. We're going to be hosting an Armageddon tournament. I should know the date for this. May 23rd, 24th, 25th, that weekend. So next weekend, actually. 3v3 Invitational Arena Tournament. PvP in general.
Okay, and where can we find that?
Hang out. That's pvp-live.com.
All right, great. Dark Lady.
I'd like to give a quick shout out to my awesome raid team and my fabulous guild for once again putting up with me for so long. I've got a quick PvP shout out actually. Been very good this week. I'd like to give a shout out to Super Tease. He actually plays a boomkin, but he's really, really good at this sort of whole commentary side of PvP. So if you want to learn some stuff about other classes that'll help, which will help you, go and check out his channel. It's really informative, and you can find me at darklady_EU or on my blog, which is brewmistress with 1s.blogspot.co.uk.
All right, great. Thank you all for listening in the dojo. We appreciate it, and those catching us after the fact. You can watch us live for our next episode next Monday, May 19th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, midnight UTC. You can catch that at twitch.tv/wowmonk. You can also catch us after the fact on iTunes, Stitcher, Twitch, YouTube, and monkmeditation.com. Monk Meditation is part of Catalyst Gaming Media. For other great gaming blogs, podcasts, and events, visit catalystgamingmedia.com. That wraps up this episode of Monk Meditation.
May your brews be strong and your heart stronger.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.